Click, click. There we go. Now everyone can hear everyone. Hello, everyone. How are you doing, Mama?
I'm doing all right. How are you today?
Doing all right.
Didn't need sleep.
I did get sleep. I have been doing the sleeping. So hopefully
That's a
that
good thing.
hopefully that carries over to next week and sleeping. Um, since it's more important next week. But we'll do my best this weekend. For anyone who watches this later and is confused, I am I'm starting a new job on Monday. So, looking forward to that. But it does mean I need to make sure that my sleep schedule is working. Anyway, with that being said, anything that you want to talk about before we start doing some Sudoku puzzles?
Don't think so.
Alright, then, if I click on the right slide here, we go over to Sudoku puzzles, and we start reading through the rules. This one is Multiverse by Jonesy. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Draw a one-cell wide loop that moves strictly orthogonally and doesn't branch or intersect itself. The loop doesn't touch itself, not even diagonally. Neighboring digits on the loop must have a difference of at least 5. A digit in a circle indicates how many times that digit must appear in circles. The circled digits also indicate how many of the up to 8 surrounding cells are on the loop. Circles are never on the loop. Digits separated by a white dot are consecutive. Digits separated by a black dot have a 1 to 2 ratio. Alright, so that's a lot of different rules, but here, let's say I put a 3 and a 6. That would cover the 2 to 1 ratio. And I might say put a 2, which would either have a 1 or a 4 on the other side. But then these circles, inside of a circle, if I put a 3, that means I have 3 3s. Let's do that so it doesn't break the Sudoku rules. A 6 would mean 6 6s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, you get the point. So apparently that's not going to work. And a 2 would be 2 2s. And then with white dots, if I put, say, a 3 here, a 2 or a 4 on the other side. And then with the loop, that loop might look weird. It just has to go around the grid. Yeah. And then as far as the loop goes, it can't go like this. That would not be allowed, because it can't touch itself diagonally. Alright. I think that's most of the rules. We just gotta make sure the loop doesn't go through the circles. And then the circles also tell us how many neighboring digits are on the circle. Alright. Restart that, and then let's figure out how many circles there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Hi, Electron. We've got 10 circles. They have to have at least 3 different ones.
Right.
And we also know that the circles are going to add, like the different digits we put in the circles, they're going to add to the number of circles. So if, let's say 3 and 6 did work, then it would have to be 3, 6, and 1.
Well, and 2 is going to be there's going to have to, bleh. There are, column 1 has 3 separate ones. Box 5 has 3 separate ones.
Yeah.
So 3, 6, and 1, starting out, we know we wouldn't work anyway.
Yeah. Well, that means this is going to have to be 1, 2, or 4, because we just ruled out 3, 6, and 1. So we know 2 exists, and it's going to occur in that in this column and this box. If it was only 3 digits. But we know that 2 has to occur. So does that mean it's 1 through 4? All 3 of them?
Probably.
All 4? Because if it was only 3 digits, this is proof that 2 has to exist. And so if it's only 1, 2, and... Well, it can't be just 1, 2, and 4. 1, 2, and 4 is...
7.
Exactly. So let's say I did 2, 4, and a third digit, which couldn't be another 4.
Now,
So it has to be 1 through 4 anyway.
Not necessarily.
Unless I did 1, 2, 7.
Oh, no, because you can't do 1, 4. It has to have a 2 in it.
Yeah. I could maybe do 1, 2, 7, but then we have to have a 2 in one of these. You'd have to have a 2 in one of those, and a 2 on there, but that would be 3 2s.
Right.
So it's going to have to be 1 through 4. Where we have 1, 2 here or 1, 2 there, so neither of those can be a 2. And I guess one thing we know is that these are 3 low digits, and the loop, neighboring digits on the loop must have a difference of 5. So let's say these 2 digits were on the loop. Then if this was a 3, then you have to, or excuse me, let's make this a 1. Difference of at least 5 makes it a 6 at minimum. And so you're going to have to alternate high-low. So, since we know that they have to at least pass by the circles, because a digit in a circle indicates how many times that digit must appear in circles. The circle digits also indicate how many of the up to 8 surrounding cells are on the loop, because circles are never on the loop. So, in this box, we can have at most 3 digits on the loop. I guess in like a continuous fashion, because I could go like this in this corner, as long as this was a high digit here. I guess the other thing to consider is where can 1 go? because this can't be 2, 3, and 4, and this 2, 3, and 4, because that would be 3 2s. So one has to be over there. So both of these are 3 and 4. But I guess that also means that this has to be a 2-4 pair, because one has to be over here. Because if it wasn't, and they were both 2, 3, 4, well then that would be 3 2s. Okay. I guess one thing we know is that you can't cross a consecutive property dot with the whisper line, because, or the whisper loop, because they wouldn't be separated by at least 5. Because obviously consecutive digits differ by 1. Okay. Well, we know that cell can't be, and that cell can't be. So this can't be a 4.
Well, and the first cell of the box of the grid can't be either, because it can't go through the, and it has to loop.
One, 2, 3, 4. So this could be 1 through 3. Or that 1 through 3. Although, no, I can make all of those 4. Okay. How could this one be a 1? Because if I can't be a 1 if I go through the top one. I can't be a 1 if I go through here. If I go through this one, it would have to connect to one of those two, because the only other option, I can't go this way. And if I go to this one, then it has to go that. So this isn't a 1. So then what about this one? That one would be forced to be not a 1. This one could be I could do 1 and 2 here. But that one wouldn't be. And I guess that one could be. So this one could be a 1. And I guess that could be a 1 as well. So we could have 1 in either of these two. What about in here? Do I have to have 1? This one wouldn't work, because that's the only way it would. Here, well, it's going to have to pick one of those two paths. This one would have to go like that. That one would have to go in one of these two directions. I guess it could technically go through those three and be a 1 here. But we know that one of these two is a 4. So I can only take up 6 of these, 10 cells? And I have to take at least 2 of these. Maybe this is it. I have to take up at least 2 of these, which is going to have to be at least one of these two. It's because it's impossible for it to just take that one and that one. Because that would have to connect down, that would have to connect down. Or I guess to the right. So at least one of those two is on the loop. And I guess if this one's on the loop, and I don't cross the barrier above, then that would touch itself.
Right.
And this would have the same problem. So I have to take both of those. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then to make this a 2, I would go like that. And now this one's suddenly done, but both of those would actually be done, because that's a 4 and that's a 2. So then it would have to go up and out, because all of those would be locked out, but then so would these. Which I guess means it's only 4 of these ones, because this one is touching both of those, and this one touches all 4. But it would have to go this way, because we couldn't go that way if we started with a 2 here.
Well, and now it's trapped.
Yeah. So while I still have to take both of these, this one isn't a 2. But I guess, does this path work? That's a 4, that's a 2. Well, the answer is no, because it's got walls here, and now there as well. So it's trapped. And if I go down, I mean, I guess technically I could go that way. But either way, if I go down, this one has 3 neighbors, and this one has 2, which would block that. So this can't go down here. So it has to go left. But then it's going to have to go down, and it can't go here, so it has to go down again, and to continue it has to go this way. This one now has 2 neighbors, that one has 2 neighbors. This one also has 2 neighbors. If I go that way, then that's a 4. But if I go up, that's a 4. So one of those 2 is 4. If I go down, that would make this a 3. Unless I go down again to make it a 4. But only one of those 2 can be a 4. If I say it doesn't go this way, then it has to go there. And now that one's the 4. Because it's got 1, 2, 3 neighbors. And then we'd block out all of that. So then it would have to continue this way. And then it would have to continue that way. That's a 4. Maybe there's something simpler. Okay. Well, I have to take one of these 3. If it wasn't this one, then it would have to go in, and down, and right. And it would have to take both of those, but that's not allowed. Because if it goes through the bottom one, then it has to go up. And if it goes through the middle one, it would have to go down. So it would have to take both of those, but then it would have to leave that way, and that would be broken. So we know this one is part of the path. Which means this can't be a 2. Three-fold pair takes a 3 out, which means that that can't be part of the path. Okay. Both of these already have 2. Which means that I can't put one here, because it would be a shared neighbor of both. I can't put one here, because it would be a shared neighbor of both. Okay, well, if there was if we couldn't cross this line, then this would have to go like this, and then it would go out like that. Because I've got a 3-4 pair, this can't be more than 2. But this isn't allowed, so I must cross this line. Which means I have to connect there. Which means I can't go here or here. And so now this only has, so that's a 2, that's a 4, a 3, which means I can't go here, and I go there. And it has to go there. That's not allowed. 4, 8. Three. This has to be a 4, because I've only got 1, 2, 3, 4. But these have to be low digits, and these ones high digits. Well, that's 2, that's 1. That's 3, that's 1. Which makes this 2. So then you can't put 2 in there, so that's 4. And this being a 2 means we have to go down and then right. And that's a low digit, that's a high digit, this is a 3.
Well, directly underneath the 8's a 1. There, I helped. And next
And
to
a
the
4 here.
3 is a 4. Across the white crop key, because it sees it too.
Right. Well, this has to be a 9, because it can't be... the 3 forces it to be 8 or 9. You could put a 7, 8 or 9 in either of those. But the 3, I can't go up. That's not allowed. I can't cross the crop key dot. It's too far apart, so it's going to have to go like this, where low and high. Start taking process away because it's going to be too much. These are going to have to be a 9 here and an 8 here. So that's a 7, that's an 8. And we get a 9 here because of the 2 9s. This path, has to continue here because we can't go up into the 4. Well, this is going to have to be 1 because it only has 2 spots available where the path can go. So we get 1 and 3. That couldn't be a 6 anyways. Five, 6, and 7. 7 has to be one of those two, so that's not it. I think these are 5, 6, and 7 as well. Given these barriers, how can this be on the path? Well, it would have to go like this, but then I can't cross the crop key dot, so I'd have to continue that way. But then that's already 4 around this 4, so I couldn't go up. So this isn't on the path, is it?
Nope.
And now this one can't be on the path, because we just determined that that one's not on the path. And I can't cross the crop key dot, can't go in there, and I can't go into a circle, so that's a dead end. So these have to be the 3. That are around this one, and the 1 connected to the 1. But then we get low, low, low. High digits, that's a 2. 1, 4, that's a 1. 7, 79, 79, not 8. Then this is 6 and 8, 9, not a 9. Actually, it can't be a 7, because that's odd, so that must be even. Nine, 8. Well, this cannot be 7, 8. Because that would make that 6, 9, which doesn't work. So it's 5, 6, 6, 7, or 8, 9. This could be 7, 8, and make that 5, 6. Okay, this 4 has 3 neighbors. Which, if I didn't cross this line, then I'd have to go around like this, but then I can't go back out. Because, I would need one more neighbor, and the only way to get one is to go through this one. Right?
Yeah.
So, I'd have to go around like that,
But
at the
then
very
it's not
least. Yeah. So, I have to cross here. Right. And now we know that all of those are locked out. If I went behind the 3, I would have to go like this. But then that would lock out all of those. This one's already locked out. But then I wouldn't have enough for the 4 to work. And we already know that this one's locked out. Because you can't go here without touching the loop again. And you can't go here without being trapped. So it has to be those 4. So that's going to connect here. Otherwise it would touch diagonally, which wouldn't work. Those are all low digits. These are high digits. Now it has to go here for the high digit and then connects there with a low digit. And does that work? And then we don't need those. So that looks correct. Electron says they had to do something, but they're back now, so that's good. So then these blue digits are 1 through 4. This one can only be a 3.
You can't. Oh yeah, 4 goes to 9. Never mind.
You can't put a 4 here. So that's a 4. Those aren't. That can't be a 4, so that is. That takes out 6. This is 8 or 9. That's 8 or 9. That's a 9. This is 7, 8 or 9, not an 8. 7, 9 pairs is going to take the 7 out of there, placing it there. This is 7, 8 or 9. Has to be a 7 because I've already got 8 and 9 in the row. 9, 8. 8, 9. 8, 9. have to have 6 as one of these two, so that one's not a 6. And this is an 8. Doesn't help with the 7 or 9, though. I need a 2 in here, and it's ruled out of those. So that places a 3 and 2. Doesn't help with this 7 or 9, though. 5, 6, 7, 9. And you can't have 7 and 9 as either of those. This isn't 5 or 6. 5, 7, 8, 9. 7's neither of them. 9 is neither of them. And that's not an 8. So 5, 8, 9, 7. And that's something up. Apparently it's because I can't count. 5, 7, 8, and 9 is only 4 of the 5 missing digits. I need a 6 somewhere. 7 and 9 is still removed from both of those, but this isn't an 8. What's left over here? 1, 4, 8, 6, 2, and 7. Not a 3, not a 9. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, where this one isn't 7, 8, 9, and not an 8 over here in the corner. 7, 9 pair takes 7, 9 out. 5, 6 pair takes that out. Five, 6 pair makes that an 8, a 9, a 5, a 3, a 6, 7, 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, 5. Those aren't 5, so that's 9. 5 and 6, 5 and 6. 7, not a 7. 5 and 6. So then this one is a 5. These two are going to be 6, 8, or that's an 8 and that's a 6. 9 and 8. Well, I need 1 and 2, and I need 7. So that's a 2, and those aren't. One, 7, and well, I was about to say 4, but 4 is right there. 8. So not a 1, not an 8. I guess this one's an 8 because those two are 1, 7 pair. These three are 3, 8, 7, a 9, a 5, and a 6. Places 7, 6, 1, 7, 1. And then I still need a 2, a 3, and a 7. And we're done. Your vacuum cleaning robot sucks. Apparently this is another Sudoku. Well, I mean... yeah, that was a fun puzzle. And I guess while I'm thinking about it, Logic Masters Germany, Multiverse. Is this the same puzzle? It is. Column 9, top to bottom, 185, 946, and 372. That was very nice, but I thought that was fairly hard. Yeah, there was a lot of just considering all of the possible options, or at least that's how I solved it, of going through this loop. But I don't know. I eventually got there. Figuring out what the circles had to be wasn't too difficult. And then figuring out the limitations on like where the 2s had to go, where the 1 had to go to make this a 3-4 pair, although we didn't know if they were different yet. But yeah, I don't know. I guess it was just simply I could have maybe been more efficient on this loop, but still working through how that loop had to operate, I thought was fairly difficult. Or at least complicated enough to call it a hard puzzle. I don't know. What do you think, Mama?
Sure, works for me.
Alright, submit that rating. And, well, they brought us to another puzzle. Your vacuum cleaning robot sucks by Jonesy. Hello. Normal 6x6 Sudoku rules apply. Place the digits 1 through 6 exactly once in every row, column, and 2x3 box. Find the correct path that connects both circles. Our imaginary vacuum cleaning robot has one path it always takes to clean the entire grid as efficiently as robotically possible. The robot moves strictly orthogonally and visits every cell in the grid except for the caged cells. The path cannot cross any walls nor cross itself. Adjacent digits on the path can only have a difference of 1 or 2. Digits separated by a black dot have a 1 to 2 ratio, meaning one is exactly double the other. Have fun! Alright, so our goal is to go between those two. I imagine. To clean the entire grid as efficiently as robotically possible. Strictly orthogonally, and visits every cell in the grid except for the caged cells. So we don't cross that line. Cannot cross any walls nor cross itself. Well, we know it's going to have to go this way. And if it has to go through here, and then this is the ending path, but it has to go through here, so it's going to have to go like that. And if it connected there, it would already be done, so we know it doesn't do that. Well, this is now a corner.
Come down.
Yeah. And now this is a corner, so it's going to have to go like that. And if it did there, it would end, so it has to go up in both places. And if it went that way, it would end, so that would be that, there.
Well done. Now, the adjacent, only a difference of 1 or 2.
Yeah. And digits separated by a black dot have a 1 to 2 ratio. Whoops. So anywhere we've got black dots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6.
Now, you can't do 3, 6 on the path.
So we have to have 2 there, 2 there, 2 there.
Bottom right corner.
Oh, right. And a 2 there. So that's not a 2. That's not a 2.
Bottom right corner is not a 2 because of row 6.
Right. And now these can't be 1 and 4. Because you wouldn't have a 2 to connect them.
Right.
So to have a difference of 1, we could go 1, 3, and a difference of 2 would be a 4. But 3, 6 pair means not a 3. So that's a 1, 4 pair. So we've got 3, 5, and 6 left over. Which, if this was a 3, then one of these two would be a 6. Which would be 3 steps away from 3. So that isn't a 3 in the corner. But all of this can be reached by 4, but a 1 can only reach 3.
Now, if the bottom left corner, that 5, 6 is a 6, well, one of the two beside it's going to be a 5 and the other will be a 3. So that has to be 5. And the same thing with that corner. If it's a 5, one of them has to, yeah.
Uh-oh. Wait, no. If it wasn't a 5, you can't have 3, 6 next to each
Right.
other.
If it was a, yeah, sorry.
Because 5 can reach both 3 and 6, but...
Right.
Yeah.
3 can be either 1 or 4. 6 has to be 4.
Right. And 1 has to be 3.
6, 4. But okay, in row 5, just to the left of the 5, if it's a 6, 6 has to touch 4, which makes 1 and 3. But then you've got 6, and 6 can't touch 1.
So that's a 3. And that's a 6. That's a 3. But 3 can reach both 1 and 4.
Right. 6 has to go to 4.
1. But those aren't affected.
Right. Two can't reach 5.
Right. One, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. So that's a 5, that's a 6. Which is going to have to be 4 or 5.
Yeah, I said 2, but I meant 4.
Neither of those is a 1. So 2 has to be one of them, so that's not a 2. So that's a 2.
In row 3, the 3 or 6. 6 would have to go to 4. 3, well, there's
Go
already
to
a
1.
5, so it would have to go to 1 or 4. So there's a 1-4 pair. So column 2 needs a 5-6.
5, 6, 3, 6. Not a 5.
Between the 6s is a 4.
5, 1, 4. Not a 4, not a 5. 1, 3 pair places a 5.
1 goes to 2, can't go to 4.
Right. And I think 5 couldn't go to 2 anyway. 4 can't go to 1, that's a difference of 3. 2,
Well,
3,
box
4.
is that. Yeah.
Alright. Your vacuum cleaning robot sucks. Row 3. 3, 4, 6, 5, 2, 1. 3, 4, 6, 5, 2, 1. That one was fairly easy, but I don't know if I would go with very easy. Because drawing the path was fairly straightforward. Because you know that every corner it has to go into, and then it has to leave those corners, but a corner only has 2 ways of going. And then, yeah, so that's easy enough. I don't know. Maybe that one was a very easy puzzle, because I'm trying to think of, like, spots where we got stuck. But I don't know. Maybe the difference of 1 or 2, because that adds a lot of options, but I don't know. I think maybe very easy is correct on that one. Because the path wasn't that difficult to draw. There wasn't, like, that many places where you... maybe not even any places where you had to really consider the path that much. Because it wasn't like with Multiverse where you had to really consider how the path would affect things. And then, I don't know, I think I'm going to go with very easy on that one. Yeah, it seems what most people are rating that. Okay. Now, this one also wanted to send us to a couple of different puzzles, but we'll just have to leave those for another day. That over there. Because I want to go and solve Elytron's other puzzles. Yeah, solved yesterday. So, got 3 puzzles. Doot, doot, and doot. Let's see how quickly we can get through them. So let's start with Fog Hammer Time. I recently participated in Skojo's and Hat Girl's challenge, where we were tasked to set a Sudoku in our typical setting style. The following Sudoku is my submission for it. Nebuzaradon was then tasked with the challenge of impersonating me and trying to fool the jury, Twitch chat. I barely managed to convince them that this puzzle was indeed mine, even though the imposter puzzle, Relatively Foggy Cages, was an incredible imitation of my puzzle style. I would highly recommend giving it a solve too. Well, I guess in that case we gotta solve both of those. All right. That sounds like a really fun
Challenge.
challenge, yeah. Anywho, all right. So let's start with Sudoku pad for Fog Hammer Time by Elytron. Standard Sudoku rules apply. Product bands multiplying the digits on two circles of the same color equals the sum of the digits on the line connecting them. Each product band is associated with a unique color and does not split. Digits on the endpoints of a product band index either their row, column, or box. Little killers. Digits along the indicated diagonal add up to the number provided and may repeat if allowed by any other rules. Crocky dots. Digits separated by a black dot are in a 1:2 ratio. Not all black dots are necessarily given. Fog. The grid is partially covered with fog. Correctly placed digits will clear the fog around that cell. No guessing is required. Well, product bands, exactly, because of the indexing rule. So then where do we go from there? Each product band is associated with a unique color. We've got little killers and crocky dots. Well, we know that this isn't going to be the endpoint. It can't go like that and be done. Because if it was, well, that would have to be a 3, and then I'd have to put a 3 there. Which obviously isn't allowed. So I guess I need something. I need to get to at least 5, because I have to do a minimum of 2, 3. But I could go there for 5, because now I'm in box 5. I don't think I can get to 6. Because now, I mean, those 3 are a minimum of 6. And then I need to put 2 more for 8. I am 95% certain that this is a 5. Because it has to be at least 2 digits on the sum. Because, so which means I'm at a minimum sum of 5, a 2 and a 3. If I go down 1, I can add 1 to make it 6. But then to get to 6, I have to get at least to here, or I could go here, I could go all the way to there. But then if the sum was 6, then that's 1, 2, 3, 4 digits, 2 of which have to be 5. So that's a minimum 8, which was the same sum if I went straight down from there. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Straight to the right.
Yeah.
To hit the 6th column.
Yeah.
Either way, any way you do it, you're hitting. You've got to go through 6. Yeah.
And then if I tried to go farther to 7, well, these 4 digits are 10. And even if I just follow the diagonal, that's 6 plus 5 is 11. Alright. My confidence has gone from 95% to 96%. Is there anything that you can think of that this is not a 5?
No, I cannot.
Alright, it's a 5, and we get a 2-3 pair. I was going to be so sad if that was wrong. Alright, the blue line does some crazy stuff. But, indexing these, this is a 3 or a 4, because it's column 3, row 4, and box 4. What were you going to go or say?
I was going to say it's minimum 16.
And then this is row 3, column 4, and box 2. But did you say minimum 16?
Yeah, because it goes up. Going for in the one in box 2, it goes up on a diagonal.
Yeah.
So, well, no, I guess it could be minimum.
I think this is the minimum path.
Well, because I guess you would see if it went diagonally across that little spot, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Because that's how we can see it going over here.
Right.
And you're saying that this is 16 minimum?
Well, no, that's actually minimum. Because in box 5, it's minimum 10.
Yeah.
And 6 and 6 is 12. So that'd be minimum 22.
So,
But
are our endpoints wrong? Or is this not the same color?
no, it's definitely blue. Well, I suppose. All right, let's say it goes, instead of coming straight down from cell 6 of box 2, it goes out into box 3. Yeah. So now that's 6, 7, 17, 18. That'd still be 20. There's
Because that's 6, 16.
all right. Go
Did I go that way?
go down. Yeah.
So now that's 3, 6, 9. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 15 minimum. But that is a working path. And we know at least these are blue. But I think that's enough to say these have to be 4. And we get 1, 2, 3s everywhere else. Because there's no way to minimize this path to make it shorter.
Right, yeah. And that's if they're all 1s and 2s, that's 15.
Yeah.
So they would have to both be, yeah, they have to both be 4.
Yeah, those are both correct. And then we know that these are 1, 2s, and 3s. Or at least we can be confident that those are 1, 2s, and 3s. Now, these cannot contain a 3. Because if they did, the other would be 1, 2. Which would break this. So
Right.
this has to be a 3, and these not be. So that's a 2. Gave us a black Cropkydont, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, where this one is not any of the low digits, so this cannot be 1, 2, or 3. Nor can it be, it can be a 3. It cannot be 4, 6, or 8. The 4 because of that, and 6 and 8 don't connect to each other. So that's a 3, that's a 6. Probably would have been simpler to just look at the options here being 6 or 8, which forces 3 or 4, and then a 4 takes out
Right.
the
It can't be 4, so yeah.
13 along that little killer. Well, that's minimum 5, minimum 4. That could be a 1, and that a 1. Which is 11. If we can be confident enough to go with the loop we've drawn here, which I can't think of a way, like, we definitely can't make it smaller, because there isn't, like, there's no way to skip this square, because I'd have to connect those two, but they aren't adjacent. Nor can I skip any other square. So there's no way to make it smaller. And if I made it bigger, like, technically I could go like that. Then I could add,
That would just be,
like, I could
that
add a
would just be,
1 somewhere. But it would be asymmetrical, and I would be upsetty spaghetti about that. Hmm. Where can 4 go in here? Not there, not there. One of those two is 4. 1, 2, 3, and 6. None of those are 4. Doesn't feel helpful. Now, 4 in here has to be one of those two.
Mm-hmm. Sum to 10.
At least, well, we know at least one of these two is a 1. The 1, 3 here and here. But I don't know if that's useful, because they just look at this cell and say that can't be a 1. Because there's no reason that they couldn't both be 1s, and then that has no impact on the degrees of freedom in the loop. What am I missing? Well, where can 1s go in the whole grid? Well, they can't go here or here. They can't go in those places. And I also know they have to go in one of those two, which is going to rule it out of there. There, out of that region. That's less helpful. Than I would want.
Well, in column 7, there has to be a 1 in one of those two on the blue line.
Right. And 1 in one of those
row
two.
7. So
But it's still less helpful than I wish it was.
And there can only be 1 3 on the blue line.
Right.
Everything else has to be 1s and 2s.
Where is 3 in here? It's not there. I'm probably messing something up with the little killer here. Or missing something obvious somewhere else. Although I can't think of what that might be. We know that those are 1, 2, and those are 1, 2.
Okay, on the little killer.
Yeah.
The bottom 2. If 1 does not appear in one of those, then the minimum is 2, 3, which is 5. And you can't get 8 in the top 2. So
Right.
one of those
One.
has to have a 1 in it.
So this one isn't.
But they could.
So we have 1 degree of freedom around the hammer. And 2 degrees of freedom on the 13.
Oh man, you said hammer and it just dawned on me what the title is. Oh. If they're both 1 on the 13.
Yeah.
Then that makes the hammer 3 and 2 on that there.
Which isn't allowed. Because this
And
pairing is
one of them has to be a 1.
Yeah.
One of those has to be a 1 in that pairing. So they cannot both be 1.
So 1 degree of freedom must be taken up over here. So this is a 5. Because if it wasn't a 5, it can't be a 6, and it can't be a 7, because that would force both of those to be a 1. This can't be a 6, because that would force both of those to be a 1. It could be a 4, and you get a 1, 3 there, but anyway, we get a 25 here. Take out 2, and now suddenly that's 23. And I guess what are our options? 1, 2 is out for all of those. 4 is out from all of them. 3, 5, 3, 5, 3, 5, and 6. 13, 15, 21, 24? That's kind of what it says. So I have 1 degree of freedom, which forces that to be a 3. This can be an 8 still. That's not a 3. Well, that one's ominous.
Right.
That's not helpful. That could be 6 and 8, so I don't even know that 7 has to be one of those. Although, how can this be a 7? It would take up the 1 degree of freedom, but then that would be a 7. Because the remainder here is 20...
Right, if that's 7, then the other's 8, that's 15. And that already puts us at 20.
So that has to be a 6. And that makes this a 6, because I've got 2 6s and a 1 3 pair. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8. You can't do a 3 6 pair because you've already got 3 6 there.
Can't do 1 2.
Exactly. So now this is a 5, and that's now this has to be 3, so that's a 1 and a 2. A 3 and a 1. And that's our 3. So that's a 1, that's a 2. And we get a 1 3 pair.
The red is scared.
Oh
or
no.
Concerned. That hammer's gonna fall.
5, 3, 1, 6, 4, and 8. And that's not a 2. So that's an 8. That's a 6. This has to be a 4, because that's the only spot a 4 can be in the row. 7, 9 pair, and 5, 8 pair, and I was about to say 3, but that's not allowed. 7, 9 pair. What's left over in this row? I don't see 3, 7, 8, or 9. Which isn't a lot of stuff. 5, 7, 8, 9. 5, 7, 8, 9. 5, 7, 8, 9. Oh. 5, 7, 8, 9, 1, and 3. Out of 2. 1, 2, 4, 6. None of those are 3. And that's 5 or 8, so I need 7 and 9 in the middle. And I guess this is still the end point of a
right.
product line.
And it's either 5 or 8.
Right.
Because it's column 5 and it's row and box 8, and it can't be 8.
So that's a 5. Takes 5s out of those. Well, we know that the sum of the red line has to end in a 5 or a 0. Alright, well, this is the only new clue. So, if it ended here, it would have to be a 3. Because 5 times 8 is 40, and you clearly can't get 40 in 3 digits. And 5 times 5 is 25, but 7, 8, and 9 are
and
24.
5 can't be an endpoint there.
Oh, that's true. What
It
could
would
this
have
be an
to
endpoint
be
of? Column 3.
3, 7, or 9.
Right, so that would only be able to be a 3. If this was the endpoint,
It would have to be 9.
which would be 45, which is way too short. I guess it could be a 7, but that's 35, and I don't think you can do
And
that.
none of those for 2, 4, and 6 will work for any of it. Because it's column 1, rows 7, 8, and 9, and box 7. So it's going to have to be the 3 as the endpoint. Because you can't do 9.
Yeah.
And 7 is 35. You can't do 35 in 3.
So that's 8. That's a 5. That's not a 5. Our ominous missing, the fog there was, taken care of. And I can go ahead and get rid of these. 15, 3, 2, and 5. 4, 6, 8. I don't know if that was particularly helpful.
Well, if the 1 is next to the 3, then you'd have to get 14 in 2, and it can't be 5, 9. It would have to be 6, 8. That's the
6
only
and
thing
8.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if that's not the 1, then.
I guess what's left over in this column? 3, 6, 4, 5, 2. 1's out there. And 8 is out. 3, 7, 8, 9. So this is what, 4 and 6? One, 2 pair.
Okay, and on the red line.
Yeah.
You can't have 9 on there because then the other 2 would sum to 6, and you've got 2 and 5 in there. So that eliminates 2, 4, and 1, 5. 8 would have to be 7, and it would have to be 1, 6, but 1 has to go over there, so it can't be 1, 6. It can't
Right.
be 3, 4, so 8's out.
Yeah. And 7's out as well, because the minimum that can be here are 4 and 6, because our 1, 2 pairs take that out, 3
Right.
is taken out, and 5 is taken out. So that has to be a 1. And that's a 1.
And
46.
1 has to pair with 6, 8.
6 and 8.
Yeah.
Not a 6. 4, 6, not an 8.
And one of those 2 has to be 3 in row 4, which takes it out in box 6.
5, 6, 1, 8. $46. According to that, maximizing everything would be 47. Because if I did a 9, so 1 plus 18 is 19, plus 2 is 21, plus 9 is 30, 34, plus another 4 would be 38, and another 9 would be 47. So, I have 1 degree of freedom less than maximum. So, 8. But these two both have to be 9s. So, 7, 9, 7, 8, 9. Not 9s. And then suddenly, that's an 8, which is my 1 degree of freedom under. You can't have a 6 on there, so that's a 2-4 pair.
And it's resolvable.
2, 4, 2. Okay. And just to double check that that's all correct, yep, 46. Alright, so these two are 4 and 8. And
3
3.
and something. 6.
I need a 2, a 5, and a 7. 4, 8, 9, 7. This is I was about to say 4, but that's not it. I think it's a 9. It is a 9. 1, 2, I need a 3 here, 4 there, 5, and 6. And we're done. It's your fault. You killed the worm. Aw.
Oh no!
Poor worm.
You the early bird.
Well, I mean, it's possible, but, I don't know. Maybe the worm's not dead. Maybe they're only Thor.
Mm-hmm. Well, it hurts.
Alright. Solution code. Row 9, left to right. 493. 168. 2, 5, and 7. And very nice. That was very fun. Hard? Figuring out this path, I don't think was easy. And then
It wasn't that hard because we recognized where it had to go.
yeah.
Fairly, I don't think it was that hard to get the path.
But I don't know whether or not finding that path is necessarily like an easy, like, sure, we did it fairly quickly, but I don't know. I feel like doing that is not necessarily easy, despite the fact that we didn't have a difficult time with it. I don't know. We did struggle a little bit with this over here, but I think it's just because it took us a long time to consider the limitations. Because you finally went over here and considered the limitations of what was happening.
Yeah.
So that, I mean, if we just looked at that sooner, because it wasn't that difficult once we actually looked at that. But I don't know. I've always found the degrees of freedom stuff to still be significantly harder. But I don't know. Do you want to go with average on that one? I feel like it's harder than average.
Pick one.
Okay, I'm going to go with hard because I think that while we got through that one fairly quickly, considering how it had to go, was still quite difficult, and considering the degrees of freedom on the diagonals was really important, but not necessarily an easy thing to do. So I'm going to go with hard. And yeah, all right, then its partner, relatively foggy cages, is next. Little blurb over here. This puzzle was my submission to Skojo and Hat Girl's challenge as a puzzle imitating Elytron's setting style, where it was voted less likely, but on a tiebreaker, to be the true Elytron puzzle than the impressively innovative Fog Hammer Time. It's particularly inspired by cage dots in the fog and factoring in the arrows, but I'd recommend checking out all of Elytron's puzzles for some impressively creative uses of arithmetic and variant Sudoku. So, Sudoku pad. We do have 15-ish minutes, so I don't know if we're going to get to the other two puzzles. So let's just see how quickly we can get through here. Relatively Foggy Cages by Nebuzaradan, imitating Elytron. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Cells separated by a black dot are in a 1:2 ratio. Cells separated by a white dot are consecutive. Additionally, every dot connects two cages. Cages separated by a black dot have relatively prime sums, i.e. their greatest common factor is 1. Cages separated by a white dot have sums which are not relatively prime. Digits may not repeat in cages. Not necessarily all dots are given. The grid is partially covered with fog. Correctly placed digits will clear the fog around that cell. No guessing is required. So, we still have crappy dot rules, 1:2 ratio and consecutive rules. But dots connect cages, and the sums of the cages are whether or not they are prime or they are coprime or not coprime. Okay. Alright, well, we'll try. But I'm not certain that we're going to have Alright, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8. And we know that black dots are coprime, or relatively prime. Their greatest common factor is 1. Which means this has to be a 1-2 pair. Because they're in a 1:2 ratio. Because we also know that this has to be its own page. Because if it expanded down, it would join with this one. But we know that this is a different cage, and it is it has a common factor greater than 1 with this cell. So the only way to have a greatest common factor greater than 1 is if it is greater than 1. But for a digit that is in a 1 to 2 ratio, to not have a greatest common factor more than 1 is if we have a 1 and a 2. So this must sum to be even.
So now does the white dot separating the cell under the 2, does that only go to... Okay, so yeah, it is 3.
Yeah, we still have crocodiles, so that's a
3
4.
just go to 4, right.
And then from here we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8. Now these can't be 1 or 2. This one is not 3 or 4. This isn't 1, 2, 3 or 4. And so across, I guess more specifically, both of these, because they are black crocky dots, but C, 1, 2, 3, 4 have to be 6 or 8, which makes these 3 or 4. This has to be odd, so 5, 7, or 9. And this has to be odd, 5, 7, or 9. And this is 5, 7, or 9. So this is odd, and that's odd. This is 2, 3, 4, 5. But we also know that these two are different, because the 6, 8 are different. So this can't be 3 or 4, because it sees both of those. But anyway, so this is odd. So if I did 5, 8, it's it would only have factors of 2, or rather prime factors of 2. But we know that this must have another shared factor. So this can't be a 5. 3 and 7 is 10, so that gives us prime factors of 2 and 5. And 3 and 9 is 12, which gives us 2s and 3s to work with. But this isn't even. So it either is a multiple of 5, or it's a multiple of 3. So the way we make it a multiple of 5 is if we do 4, 6, and 5, and then 3, 7. 4, 8 is 12, but I don't have 3 or 8 to use again. So 6, 4, 5 is the only way to make that a multiple of 5. Right?
Yes.
And then, so that's 3, 7. So 7 would be 5 and 6. So 3, 9 would be a factor of 3. So 4 and 6 is 10. So that would be a 5 for 15. But 7 and 9 aren't going to work because 17 and 19 aren't going to work. So 4 and 8 is 12. But I was going to say it had to be a 9. But that wouldn't work because that would be 2 9s. 4 and 8 is 12, which is already a multiple of 3. And so the other digit would have to also be a multiple of 3. But I don't have that option. Because 9's out. Because 9's automatically
17, which is prime. 12 and 7 is 19, which is also
prime. But these are by definition... well, just because a digit is prime, because 2's prime. But...
Right.
Yeah.
No, but...
So, but yeah, so this is going to have to be a 6, because there wasn't an option with an 8. And then it's going to have to be a 5 here. Whether we do 7 or 9 there. So this is 15. And 15 and 15 is clearly coprime, but 15 and 17 is not. Or excuse me, not coprime. Coprime means that they're relatively prime. 15 and 15 have a greatest common factor greater than 1. But 15 and 17 are coprime or relatively prime, and so this is going to have to be a 7 and a 9. 15, and it has to be coprime or relatively prime with this cage. Oh, 6 is a 3, 8 is a 4. 3 is then going to have to go to 2. This cage is ridiculous. But what can I put here? 2, 3, and 4 is all out. But I can't do 6 or 9 because that would make it a multiple of 3. I can't do 7 because that would be a multiple of 5. But 15 is only 3 and 5. 4, 8, and 11 don't have prime factors of 3 or 5 in them. So that should be enough to make sure that that's fine. But this giant cage of at least 8 digits is coprime with 17, but has a shared factor with this one. Did I say 17? I meant 15. Even if I said 15, I meant 15. Because I said 50. This is at least 8 digits. Could be 9 if it goes all the way to there. Except 9 would be 45, so it ends here. So that's the full cage. So if it's less a 9, well, I mean that means 2 has to be one of those two.
Right.
Well, okay. What are the possible missing digits? It's not 1, 4, 5, 6, 3, 7, or 9. It can't be missing a 9, because if it was, 45 minus 9 is 36. 36 is divisible by 3, and so is 15. But it cannot be divisible by 3 or 5, so we're not missing a 9. 9's not allowed to be missing. If I'm missing 8, then that puts me at 37. 37, I believe, is prime, because it's not divisible by 2, 3, 5, it's not divisible by 7, and 11, the first number divisible by 11, that is not divisible by any other prime, is 121. so we don't have to consider 11s at all. So 37 is prime, so it's not missing an 8. If it was missing 7, we'd be at 38. 38's even. But it's not divisible by 3, because it's not divisible by 6. Or more accurately, 8's not divisible by 3, while 3 is. And it's not divisible by 5 because it doesn't end with 0 or 5. So we could be missing a 7. 45 minus 6 is 39, but that is clearly divisible by 3, so it's not the 6 that we're missing. 40 is divisible by 5, so this has to be a 2. So if the other was a 3, 42 is divisible by 3. So this has to be a 7. 6, 8. Can't be an 8, or a 6, so that's an 8. That's not an 8. And I just forgot what the sum was, but it's 45 minus 7, which is 38. 38? Which is 2 and 7, no, 2 and 14? That's not right. 2 and
19.
Right. So this just has to be divisible by 2, and it's even, so it is. Because that's a pair of odd numbers. So that's fine. Because 4 and 8 only have 2 as a factor. Prime factor. Oh, well, this is 7 or 9.
And across the white crop key from the 5 is 4 or 6.
Right. 4, 6, and what's the last digit in the row? An 8? It is. Yeah. And we've got 8s there and there, so that's an 8. What's left over in this box? 4, 6, 5, and 8. These two aren't 7, and we don't have a 1, 2 pair up there, so 3 and 9 are out.
The middle of row 3 is 3 and 9.
And then, I guess I don't need the orange anymore.
5 and 6.
It is 10, so let me know when you need to stop. Okay, what about this cage? Oh, white dots share a factor. So this has to be some multiple of 7. 13 is not divisible by 7. But 13 and 4 is 17. 20, 24, and... Say again?
26.
None of those are divisible by 7. And then 11, 19. 19 and 7 would be 26, which I don't think is divisible, so that's a 9 for 28, which I know is. Well, this is going to have to be... Yeah, so that's a 1, that's a 2, that's a 1. What's this sum?
That's a 5 over there in box 4. 1, 2, 3. So 4, 6, and 9 are left in row 4.
We have 9 in there for certain. Now 28 is 4 and 7. So we have this is a multiple of 4 or 7. And it has to be at least that much. But it's not a multiple of 18. Or rather, it doesn't share a 2 or a 3. But since this has a 2 as a factor, that means this has to be a multiple of 7.
In column 6, the white Kropke dot there in box 5, it can't be a 6 on top because it would have to be on the bottom 5, and that would break the 5 on top, and there's a 7 in the column.
Right.
4 would have to go to... yeah.
If it's just the 7 digits, 28 is the minimum. But that can't be a 9, so it would have to have a 9. 1, 7, 8. 6 and 9. 5. 2, 3, and 4. $45 minus 8 is 37. So 37 minus 2 is 35. So if it's only these 7, I could take out 2 and be a multiple of 7. It can't take it can't take up 2 more digits because it's 7. And taking up 2 more would make it 45, which is not divisible by 7. And if I took up 1 more, then my range would go from 36 to 44, and 42 is the only one of those which is divisible by 7. So to get 42, the digit on the outside would have to be this digit, not the 8. Wait, no. It would have to be an 8. And that would make that a 3. Because 42 is missing a 3. So this is 2 or 3, not 4 or 5, so that can't be a 5. In which case 3 is one of those, and I don't have 3 there. So it's whether or not this is an 8. So that's a bit annoying. 6, 7, 8. And it has to share a factor. Could share a factor with 13. Wait, could it? 26, 39, yeah. 15's easy, and so is and so is 10. Except it has to have a 9. Because this is 13 or 15.
Right.
But if it's 15, then I can go to 45. "13" would force 39, which would mean it doesn't have a 6. Wow. What am I missing? "42" is a multiple of 3. But this is 18, which is a multiple of 3. So it can't be 42. It has to be 45 minus 10, which is 35, which is 5 times 7. So that's a 2. And that has to be a 3. That's not a 3 now.
And on the other side of the Kropke dot from the 2 is either 1 or 3.
Right. And this is 35, which has a 5 and 7 as, well, what's the remainder in this column? 9, 6, 8, 7, 3, and 2. 35 is 7 times 5. And we do have a shared factor here. 7 and 5. So 2 and 5 is 7. 2 and 4 is 6, which is not 5 or 7. And 1 and 2 is 3. So this has to be a 5, so those aren't. That's 7, so this has to be a multiple of 7. Is this a 2? I guess it could be 2 or 8. I guess it's not a 2. So this can't be a 1. So that's a 4. 4 has to go to 2 or 8, but the 2 in the column makes it an 8. That's a 1. 5. 5 is not connected to 9, so that's a 4. That's a 9. That's a 6. 3, 9, 6, 5. 5 is not there. This is 13, so this must be 39. So it's missing a 6. So that 6 goes here. And those aren't 6. This is the only place a 5 can be. It has to be a multiple of 7.
Right. And it has to be odd, right?
Yes. An odd multiple of 7. 18, 19, 21 is a possibility. 22 is not. 23 is not. 24, 5, 6, 27, 28 is not allowed. 29 isn't, and 30 isn't. So it has to be 21. And it has to have 1 or 3 in it, so those two aren't allowed.
It can't have 5, 7 in it.
Right, 7
It sees
isn't
5,
allowed.
7, and 6.
5 isn't allowed, and 6 isn't allowed. 1, 3, and 9. I guess I should have just simply looked at the column and be like, 1, 3, and 9. That
Yeah.
makes 21.
That would have been easier. I don't know why I was thinking, oh, we have to eliminate these.
Yeah. What's left over? 2, 9, 4, 5, 6. 1, 3, 3, and 8. We know this is 39, and it's missing a 6, and we've already dealt with that. I guess, looking at this column, 4, 1, 9, 2, 8. So 8's one of those two. This isn't 5 or 6, so it's odd,
3
so this
doesn't have
can't be odd.
anything to go to. It's got to be 7 and 6.
8, 3, 1, 7. Not a 1. This now is a 5. 7, 6, 5, 3, 9, and 8. Not a 1, not a 4. And 6 shares a factor with whatever this is. That's 13. 14's allowed. 15 is allowed. But 17 is not. 13, 14, or 15. Because 14's even, and 15's a multiple of 3. And so is 6. So I guess we go down here. 1, 4, and 5 is out from the whole box. 7, 8. Not a 6. 3, 2. 7, 6, 8. 2 and 3 don't connect.
On the right, 9 doesn't have a buddy.
Neither does 6. So 6, 7, 8, 9 means this is a 2-3 pair. 2s and 2s means 2 is one of those. And, okay. 1 and 6 is 7, which is co-prime with 8. 1 and 9 is 10, which is co-prime with 7. But it could be both of them. So 4s. Well, let's do this row first. 3, 6, 1, 2, and 5. 9, 4, 7, 8. 4, 9 pair takes out 4 and 9. 7, 8 pair means you're not a 4. 8, 7, 5, 3. 1, 6, 9. 2, 4, 6, and 6. Excuse me. One, 9, 5, 6, 7, 4, 8, and 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 6, 8, and 1, 7, 6, and 3, 5, 4, 1, 4, 5. One, 2, 3, 7, 9. More accurately, where's 5 in this row? It's in none of those, and those two rule it out of there. So 5. So now these are consecutive, you can't do 1. 7 and 9 are odd, you can't do 9.
Six, 7. Where's 1 in column 2?
It's no longer in any of those, so that's a 1, that's not. Those are together. And a white dot shares a factor. So if this was 7, 6 and 8 is 14. If this is 9, 8 and 7
is 15, which has 3.
Yeah. But 9 forces 8 and 7, so that's fine. 7 can't go 8 and 7, so 7 would be 6 and 8. But those go differently. But I think both of them have 8 and 7 in them. So that makes it 6 or 9, which partners with that to go 2 and 3. None of these are 2 now. No longer a 3, so that's a 9. And those aren't 9s. You're not a 2. 4-9 pair makes that a 2.
Top 7 has a 6, 7, 8, 9 quad.
So 3, not 3. 4, 1. 2, 1, 3, 2. And that is both of them. Okay, so 1 and 6 is 7, and it shares a factor. But how do I get... Because 7 and 9 is 16, which is not a multiple of 7, and 8 and 7 is 15, and 8 and 9 is 17, neither of which are multiples of 7, so this has to be a 9, a 7, and an 8 10 and 15 share factor of 5, 6, 9, 4, 6, 4, 9, 8, 9, 7, 8, 7, and 6, and we're done.
Sweet.
That one, took us a little less time than Fog Hammer time, but I don't know if I would consider it easier. Last row, left to right. 7, 6, 2, 5, 4, 3, 7, 6, 2, 5, 4, 3, 1, 9, 8. Very nice. It's at least hard. I almost want to go with very hard. Because I'm really good with factoring. Because I think it's like the most important thing to know with mathematics. Once you get above, or once you get into algebra. Or yeah, I would say algebra. Once you get into the area of mathematics where you need to know how to break numbers down. So that's when you're like reducing fractions, when you're trying to consider whether or not two numbers are divisible or share factors. I don't know. Factoring is very, very important in mathematics, I think. It's like one of the basic things that you need to know. So I think I'm very good at it. But that doesn't mean it's easy to do. Because there's a lot of different things you have to keep in your head. So I think I'm going to go with very hard on that one, unless you want to make an argument for something else. Because there's a lot of different things that had to be considered. Like in this cage, you had to decide whether or not it reached out to be 8, so to be 42. Then this one had to be considered whether it would reach out into the fog. But yeah, no, that was very difficult. I think. Yeah, the fact that people are putting 2 stars in that one, I am not entirely sure. They I don't know. I guess for me, I'm trying to consider perspectives other than my own, and I feel like perhaps it's.
I think in rating puzzles, it should be your own experience.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with that one. That it's necessarily my own experience, because I could fly through a puzzle that fits my particular skill set. But then, like, just because I'm particularly skilled with that particular thing doesn't necessarily mean that it is an easy puzzle. Or, like, I just happen to see the thing that needs to be... I think with difficulty, it should be more of the steps involved. At least that's my mindset when I'm thinking about the difficulty, is the logical steps that are involved. But I don't know. Like it really is still very subjective. I'm not sure you can construct a more objective way of rating it, regardless of whether you're just going with your own perspective. But yeah, I guess like the biggest thing for me as to why I don't think it should be entirely one's own ability or experience with something is because like with like I don't know, mathematics, if you once you gain certain skills, or like I don't know, a lot of different things. Like at a certain point in time, your experience makes certain things easier to do once you have those skills and experience. So you can go through a difficult task more quickly with greater levels of skills, but I don't think the difficulty, or more accurately, the complexity of the task changes. And so I'm trying to talk about the complexity. At least that's my goal. But I don't know if it's necessarily if it leaves the realm of subjectivity. I don't know. Does that make sense at least?
I guess. Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, it is 10:30, so we are quite past our aimed for end time. So, yeah, I have done all of the things. I have liked all of the puzzles and submitted ratings for all of them. So, anything else you want to say about the puzzles before we sign off, Mama?
No.
Alright, then, I have nothing else to say either. Make sure you have liked, commented, subscribed, rung the notification bell, and shared the video. I will be playing Project Zomboid later this week on Thursday and Friday night. Times are posted on YouTube, so if you want to catch those, make sure to find the times that are posted for those. Otherwise, I will be playing Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm going to be trying to finish it this week. Yeah, I didn't get to it today, but that's alright. I'll try and play that tomorrow. And, yeah, so, I think, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.